All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are having a good start to your week. If you guys aren't familiar with me and who I am, my name is John or Johnny. Either one goes. I'm used to Johnny at this point, but you can call me either or. If you guys are familiar with how I do things, or basically what I bring to the table as a trader, is I like to provide I would call it a unique strategy to the table. We look at things from a different perspective than most, and I think you guys could definitely benefit from learning this type of trading strategy, whether it's a modified, simpler version of Ellie Wave, which I have seen others out there, but I'm not the biggest fan of those. But we focus on primarily using something called the ABC method. Now, if you guys aren't aware of what the ABC method is, that's what we're going to be going over today. I'm going to be showing you guys how I do things from an ABC perspective. If you guys have any questions regarding the strategy that I use or how I view things, I would please invite you guys to go ahead and ask any questions you might have. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on chat here on the YouTube and Twitch end, as well as I'll be popping in and a back and forth between my chart and Discord.
You want cancel orders if they're not fulfilled within 1 minute.
That was David News's newest video. Sorry, everyone.
No worries. But I'll be doing my best to check chat in Discord as well as the YouTube and Twitch end. If you guys have any questions about anything I have to say, if you for those who are here in the Discord right now with me, please feel free to ask any questions anytime. If you wanted to speak up, just grab my attention. I'll go ahead and pause, and we can go ahead and answer your question as best as we can today. So without further ado. Hopefully, you guys can take away something from this, and let's get started. So, usually, if you guys aren't familiar with the ABC method, I'm going to do a quick little tutorial, and I'll develop things as I go ahead and go into my analysis more. But if you guys have any questions regarding the setups I'm looking at, or how I'm currently viewing things, like I said, please feel free to ask. I'm going to do my best to make sure we're all on the same page. But if you guys aren't familiar with the ABC method, the easiest way to explain this, without going into too deep of a rabbit hole, is the ABC method is a modified version of Elliott wave theory. So where Elliott wave theory, we look at groups of trends in impulsive waves and correction waves. All right, so usually you have a 1 through 5 sequence and then an ABC pullback, and then that can turn into a 1-2, and then you can continue about et cetera, et cetera. This is just for an example. The ABC method, and the reason why I love it so much is it preaches a certain style that I think everyone should be pushing for, or at least trying to learn. Is not just ABCs in general, it's the concept of simplicity. All right. To me, simplicity is a very, very important thing to keep in mind in trading. What a lot of people tend to do in this space is that they tend to do, I would say, one of two things. They either go into too small of a time frame and trying to scalp the 5 minute at every single little market move that happens, or two, they try to overcomplicate things, and the end result can lead to making bad decisions, taking trades at a bad time, not taking the highest probability trade, which can lead to obviously you guys losing money, which we don't want here in the space. So, something that I found, and not just through ABCs, but this my trading career in general, is sometimes more doesn't equal better. All right. And I do my best to try to keep the information that's important on my screen. The rest is really irrelevant to me. It's stuff that I'll look at, I'll keep in consideration, but I do not make any other serious trading decisions based off anything else besides what I do or how I do things with ABCs. So to make ABCs a little bit simpler for you guys to understand, is basically you're taking impulse waves, and the argument for Elliott wave, and the argument that I like to make, is that the problem with Elliott wave is that it could be overcomplicated. All right. The problem is for most people to learn and understand, it's a lot of information to absorb. So some people are going to, I would say a lot more than others are going to have a harder time understanding Elliott wave. So what the ABC method basically calls for is, hey, instead of viewing things from an impulsive wave and a corrective wave standpoint, it's easy. It'll actually be easier to just group your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s into ABCs. All right. And from there, you can look for reversals or continuations. I took it a step further and basically allowed and said to myself, okay, with the fifth wave or the C wave extends, we're basically waiting for price to get back below a certain point, and we're going to be going ahead and taking short positions every single time price crosses below the pivot of the A, or in this case, the third wave. It's not always the third wave. I don't like to look at things from that perspective anymore. But this is kind of compare apples to oranges. That's how I personally view things. So that's pretty much it on that end. So I'll go ahead and clean this up a little bit so you guys understand. Now that you understand I guess the main principle of how I do things, primarily what we're looking for is identifying trends in groups of threes. And from there, you're going to be basically taking shorts when you identify an ABC to the upside, and then long positions when we identify ABCs to the downside. And the goal is to basically take trades when price gets into when price crosses the territory of the A wave and crosses back below or above, depending on which direction you go ahead and look at. You're going to go ahead and take trades and hope to catch either a longer continuation of a larger trend or a possible larger reversal. Okay. That's the easiest way to go ahead and for me to draw things. But we're going to take this concept and we're going to apply it to the macro time frame. I'm going to go over some of the things I'm looking for from a larger perspective, and then we can go ahead and work into a actual I guess scenario or an actual perspective of how I normally trade, the setups I look for on the time frames that I look for, and hopefully you guys can navigate or at least learn something from ABCs today, just in general. So first things first, we're going to be looking at the macro perspective. I'm just going to be focused on the entirety of the bear run, and we're going to go ahead and look and see if we can identify if we have bottomed or what the possible scenarios are coming here in the near future. So for me personally, we have an ABC to an A, ABC to a B, and we have a nice ABC for a C. Now, when you clean this up, it's going to be A, B, C. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the smaller subwaves so it's not too messy in this area. So what you're left with is a very nice built out ABC. Now, the question is, one of the things that you will encounter, especially when it comes to the perspective, if not smaller time frames that we trade, is that a lot of times ABCs will become part of larger A waves, right? Or part of a larger wave. And then you'll have an A, you'll have a somewhat smaller B, and then a look for a larger C wave. And what that'll do is turn into a larger A to a B to a C. And then from there, if you get rid of the smaller ones, you're left with a much larger ABC. That's kind of the picture I'm trying to draw here, is understanding that, are we done? Is this ABC the end of the bear run or the bear market? Or is this part of a much, much larger ABC that's in the process of building right now? If that is the case, we have an A to a B to a C to start the A. We're working on some sort of A, B to a C to start the B. All right. And then I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go or how high it's going to go. I just know that might be in an extended not bull cycle, but at least a larger swing to the upside to form some sort of larger pullback. And then at some point, I would say probably by like the end of this year, we could possibly be making our way down towards new lows. To me, that's exactly what I would like to see if we are going to pump down to that sub 10K region that everyone is talking about. Doesn't necessarily have to happen, but for me personally, how I see things, I would like to see price show nice, clear separations and trends before we go ahead and can look for much larger extensions to the downside. Okay, hold on. Before I go ahead and do that, the most important thing to keep an eye on if you are looking for this scenario is a break of the previous low at around 15,400. If you can get a break above there, doesn't necessarily have to go ahead and go down to sub 10K, but all we really need is a break below that previous pivot, and that can complete a much larger ABC and give us a much higher chance, if we do reverse from that low, to go give us a much larger potential market reversal, I would say, in general, to where we can be making our way up to much higher highs, possibly begin the bull market. That's one way to look at it. The other variation of what I'm looking at, what could be possible, is that perhaps that, yes, we are maybe in an A wave, or maybe this is part of the C wave or the larger part of a C wave that we're not necessarily done with yet. both this scenario and the previous scenario I mentioned both end up with putting in some sort of lower low. Okay. And from there, we're going to be looking for that pivot to be tested, most likely crossed and then reclaimed. And we're going to go ahead and look for a possible reversal of the bull market there. We don't necessarily have to go in and put in sub 10K regions that everyone's talking about, but we can just come in, complete this high and then go down and put in a low. And technically we could be done from there as well. Me personally, if you were to ask me out of the 3 scenarios, which ones I would consider the most probable at the moment, I think the second scenario, the one where that we're possibly in a much larger B wave, that I think is more likely. That's probably the priority right now. But just because I think we're going up to, to mid 30K it doesn't mean we're going to go straight up. We kind of have to go ahead and work our way into that wave, something like that. Just as in a larger example, it doesn't necessarily have to play like this, but this is something I would like to see for us to complete a much larger B wave. But that being said, we're primarily looking for, mid 30Ks to be tested before putting in a reversing setup or reversal setup, and we can go ahead and proceed to look for lower lows. I'm not too concerned when it comes to where the market exactly is going to go. The market is going to allow us to show, hey, we do have a possible sign of reversal. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go ahead and reverse from there, but it gives us a higher probability chance that we will most likely will. All right. And keeping that in mind, that's pretty much the 3 main scenarios, is that either we bottomed here, or if you look at the other 2 scenarios, we have to pump up and reverse, put in a lower low, or maybe we topped out here and we're looking for a lower low at the moment. So keeping that in mind, keeping those 3 perspectives in mind, we're going to go ahead and go into our quote unquote usual time frame that we use to go ahead and try to figure out what the market is possibly doing in a much more recent section of price action. So keeping that in mind, I'm marking out the low here. That low is going to stay marked out. If you guys need me to go ahead, if you guys are just tuning in, or if you guys are just stopping by and you need me to explain certain things or go over why I picked this level, please let me know. Like I said, throughout this session, this is going to be a time for you guys to go ahead and ask me any questions you might have, and I invite you guys to do so. But pretty much what we're looking for here is within this area of price action. If this low is the bottom of the A wave or the bottom of an ABC, we have to go ahead and figure out what's going on here. At the moment, I personally see this as a larger A to a B to a C with an ABC within the C. Okay. If I go ahead and basically not delete it, but clean this up a little bit, the yellow structure is going to be the larger one. And then the ABC with the orange ABC is currently what we're working with. Okay. That completes a much larger potential A wave. So if I clean this up, I'm primarily looking at this as a larger A wave. This is going to be a one continuous trend to me. Now, the question is, we have an ABC with a reversal pivot at about 24,380. Let me get a more exact level for you guys. I know Bedarius is in here. I think he is in here, so I know he's going to yell at me if I don't use my magnet tool. But Bedarius is a subscriber and a member of my Discord, so we have a little inside joke. We have the bearish pivot here. Let's go ahead and just mark this out. Oh, shoot. Come on. All right. We have that bearish pivot. And as long as we're below that pivot, the probabilities for a larger pullback at the very least, if not potential reversal to lower lows, is a lot higher. Now, if that is the case, where are we going to go to? The beautiful part about this is that I necessarily don't know at the moment. The only thing I can go ahead and say is that there's a couple areas of support that we have to go ahead and test in order for me to possibly move onto the side that we might be bottoming here soon. Let's go ahead and go over that before I come up with the next step here. For me personally, there's 2 areas of support: the previous low and also, I would say, this range here. Now you can see they kind of overlap. So for me, I would like to see price. If we are going to be bullish, I would like to see price maintain above somewhere in between 23 or 21,375 to the low of the previous bottom here around 20,385, somewhere in that region. Price can easily come into this region and find support, and we can continue higher. Me personally, based off of what I'm seeing, I would like to see some sort of larger ABC be put in this region before going ahead and possibly looking at this as a larger B within a C. As you can see, as I'm drawing these ABCs out, you can kind of see the yellow structure taking form to a much larger setup, to where if we are going to pump to that mid 30K region, I would like to see a nice clear setup on a 2-hour time frame to go ahead and show me that we could possibly be reversing. One of the things that I get asked a lot, and I figure maybe if you guys are new to me and new to the channel or new to how I view things, one of the most common questions I get, and I can go ahead and answer that for you right now, is what kind of time frame do I use? For me, it's mostly about perspective. Okay, time frame is important, but the mistake I see people make, I've seen people go to a 4-hour chart. I know it's not a 4-hour, but I've seen people go to a 4-hour chart and do something like this, to where they're focusing in on just one little part of price action. No, that this is not going to get you good results. You have to zoom out on that perspective and be able to see larger parts of price action developing. All right. And then if you can see the setups form on a 2-hour when you're completely zoomed out, that's going to give you a higher probability chance of price respecting these pivots as either support or resistance, depending on which direction we're looking at. But that is the most common. That's basically where I start as a standard as for time frame. I will move down to a 1-hour, possibly a 30-minute sometimes, but even still, I'm not zooming in whatsoever. This is the farthest I will zoom out, but most of the time, I will stick to a 1 to 2 hour. I really don't. Besides looking at like the macro picture, which we did in the beginning of this seminar here, I usually don't go anything above a 2-hour. Like I said, if we're looking at the macro time frame, I'll go to an 8-hour. Talk about the developing scenarios of what could be going on, and then we can go ahead and zoom into a much more manageable time perspective, to where we can not take trades every 3 months. So from there, like I said, we have to keep in mind the options of what is available, what could be coming. If we continue to break down and we break this area of support, there's really nothing else to catch us. From a local low perspective, I look at things a little bit differently from support. I know some people have drawn like previous highs of support. It's possible, yes, we actually could come down, retest the previous high around 18K, since we did not form a valid support. That's something I will keep in mind. But for me personally, I look at things from a more local low perspective, to where we look at bottoms of previous uptrends. In this case, this is the bottom. This is the bottom. This is the bottom. Something like that. So for me personally, if we do not hold support in these two regions, like which I mentioned before, I think we're easily going to come down, put in 16K. And if we do come back down to that 16K level, the probabilities are we're going to put in that lower low, just because we're just so close to that region as it is. I'm primarily going to be looking for a lower low. Doesn't mean it has to happen. I have to go ahead and take it level by level, but I'm going to be anticipating a possible lower low if that is the case, and we can go ahead and try to take trade setups to the upside, or for a possible reversal if that is the case, if we do drop down to this previous areas of support, if not the previous low. Sorry about that. So that's one option. Or actually, that's both options. It's either we find support down here and continue upward, or if that fails, we're most likely going to be putting in much lower lows, and then we'll have to go ahead and reevaluate if we can catch a possible reversal to try to catch the next leg to the upside. Just in case that we do come down here for a much larger extension of a pullback, or a much larger pullback, we can try to time the next move by finding some sort of A to a B to a C. Or, depending on where this where this downtrend goes to. All right. So just keeping that in mind, we don't really have a significant break of trend yet, so I can't necessarily give you guys an established A to go off of this wave. To me, this just looks like one continuous trend. So I have to see how this develops. If we get more downside, fantastic. If not, we'll have to go ahead and wait and see how price behaves if we're looking for a possible A to a B to a C scenario, something like this. Or maybe we just continue to pump from here. Absolutely possible as well. Not my favorite option, but most likely it definitely is possible. Let me just make sure I don't have any questions here on the table. All right, so we're good there. Good on YouTube, Twitch end. All right, let's go over to Ethereum. Let's see. All right, so for Ethereum, we're going to be starting off the same way, just as BTC. We're going to look at a much larger macro perspective, and we're going to be trying to determine what the possible possibilities are. Whether this, which we'll go over the first one now that I'm introducing it, is that maybe it's similar to BTC where we put in its own ABC and that we're done. From there, I really don't have any set levels to give me levels of validation or higher probabilities for a higher swing in the upside. The C wave was very rapid in this case. It wasn't clear cut as the BTC one was. So for me, that is a possibility. And if that is the bottom, to me, it looks like we're working on a larger A to a B to a C. If that is the case, one important thing to keep an eye on is the pivot of the previous high at around 2032. All right. And that leads me into the second option, is that maybe this ABC is part of a larger A. We're working on one larger B that topped out at the previous high, or that we're working on to extend to a higher high past 2032. Okay. Two different variations of what could be going on. The reason why I say that it's important is because we can easily draw this as a very rapid B wave, and that we're working on a larger C. All right. Or this is where it gets a little bit confusing. I'm trying not to, throw too many options or give you guys or lead you guys into an option paralysis state of thinking here, to where I'm going to mark out the levels that are important. All right. And so maybe we're working on, I need to extend this further. There we go. Either we put in an A to a B to a C. If that is the case, we need to break the low. Another option is that maybe we're not done yet. Okay. If that is the case, we need two things to happen. Either we need the high to be broken right now, or we can come down, put in one more low past this previous pivot at around 1068, 1069-ish. And that can turn into an A to a B to a C. All right. And then this can turn into an A to a B to a C. As long as we don't break that previous low, even if we do drop, we can still come up and test that 2032 pivot. Right. That's very important to understand. Very important to keep an eye on is that 2032 pivot. Is regardless if we pump now or if we come down, put in a lower low, then pump. That 2032 level is still relevant. So keeping that in mind, that's a major that's another major variation of how this is going to go. Me personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this one. If anything, I think we're going to be working our way up to that 2032. But I don't necessarily think we're going to put in a lower low past that previous pivot. I think we're going to put in at least a decent pullback before continuing higher. That's more likely the scenario. But this is why I highlight the pivots, just in case that I am wrong. There's certain things to keep an eye on that, hey, if we cross below that 1066 and reclaim it, still bullish. If we fail that 1066 and come down and test 880 and reclaim that level once putting a lower low, we could still be bullish. There's a lot of different ways of how this can play out. But the best thing to do is focus on the larger perspectives, focus on the larger pivots, and then we can go ahead and try to work our way in and talk about what could be going on. Okay. To me, unlike BTC, ETH did not put in a lower low. So the bottom is going to be here. We're going to start from this low here. From there, we have an A to a B to a C with an ABC within the C, and then you can draw an ABC within the C. I try not to focus on too much. I mean, I kind of have an understanding of how the larger waves are playing out. So to me, I really don't focus on that. Once I can kind of refine what the most important pivot is at the moment, I go ahead and stick with that. As you can see before, I was drawing ABCs within ABCs within ABCs. At the end of the day, the most important pivot to be under, if we are going to be bearish, is at 1742 region, right? As long as we can go ahead and remain below that pivot, the probabilities for downside are more in a favor, I would say. Doesn't mean we're going to keep going lower. Like I said, the same thing applies for BTC. We do have pivots to keep an eye on. The pivots give us higher probability chances of certain things playing out, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen. So we can easily pump from here. I could be wrong. I could be expecting a new high at 2032 to be tested, but we'll have to wait and see until that happens. For now, that 1722 is a very important pivot. We have to go ahead and keep an eye on that and see if we can continue to further down or if we just bounce from here. Another position I'm also in is this ABC, and there's an ABC within the C. All right, from there, mark the pivot of the low. I'm in a long trade from this area. So for me, at the moment, I'm currently holding positions from about that 1486 low and in about that 1722 high. I'm shorting from that 722 high. And at this point, I'm just letting these two positions fight out. I think it's almost a similar situation as the BTC. If ETH breaks this previous pivot down here and around that 1480 region, which is close to the pivot that I took my original entry at. If we break that low, I think there's really nothing significant holding us as support until we come down and test the previous high. Like I said, not the biggest fan of that, but definitely possible. If not, we're going to be testing local lows as support here. So somewhere in this region, anywhere from 1189 down to 1141. That's going to be a more likely area of support. But similar to BTC, if we are going to drop that low, odds are we're probably going to go ahead and put in a much higher probability to put in another lower low past the pivot of this A here. So those are the positions I'm currently in. I'm currently looking at. If you guys have any questions regarding ETH, I'll go ahead and just make sure I'm all caught up. All right. Doing good? Cool. So besides that, let's go move on to LTC, which is, I'm primarily focused on the big three. BTC, LTC, and Ethereum. And I might grab a trader. Oh, what's up?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Why would you consider that like next to Bitcoin and Ethereum?
I go based off of the history of the coin, how long it's been around, also liquidity. It's been, I'm not sure if it's still there, but if I go to coin market cap, is it? Oh wow, it's not even in the top 10 anymore. Well, it wasn't the top 10 for the longest time. Now it's still in the top 15, just because of how long it's been around, and also, like I said, the market history of it. It's been around longer than anything else, but besides maybe XRP, anything else in the top 10 besides ETH and Bitcoin, it's been around the longest. And from what I've seen, I could be wrong on that, but based off what I know, I'm pretty sure it's been around longer. And those have been the main three assets that everyone knows or everyone has known since the beginning of I wouldn't say crypto, but who's been around long enough. They usually refer to those to maybe Bitcoin Cash as part of the main ones that's been around the longest. That's the main reason why I pick LTC as part of the bigger three coins that I look at.
Thanks.
Just from those two perspectives. No problem, Vlad. So for LTC, same thing. We have to go ahead and look at the larger picture and figure out, hey, we have an A to a B to a C. Each one of these waves has a much larger set of ABCs in between. The C wave is a little bit different. C wave is not, I'm not the biggest fan of that C wave, but it still counts. That we have a completed ABC. Now the question is this done? Or are we looking at this as a potential larger A to a B to a C? Or actually, hold on. Before I go ahead and do that, let me just mark some levels out. Pivot of the previous macro A is here. You can see we came up and retested it as actually, no, hold on. I didn't get it exact. But Arius is stubbing his toe right now because of how I refuse to use the magnet tool. All right. So let's see. AB to a C. You can see we came up and rejected the pivot of the A. Right? Usually in most case scenarios, when I see price reclaim the level of the A, that gives me higher probabilities that we're going to continue the upside. You can see we kind of almost rejected it pretty close to the that pivot that I mentioned before. So what could be happening, I'm not saying this is going to be the case, but what could be happening is two things. Let's see, hold on. One, two, I made three things. Two of them are very similar in shape. One is that maybe this is a larger A, like I mentioned before. We're working on a larger B, and we're working on possible coming down to a lower low to put in a larger C. We need to break that previous pivot at around, oh God, come on. There it is. Around $40. Whatever that the previous low is, I'm gonna use the magnet tool. 40.25. Right. So 40.25 is a previous low. If we come back down, put in a lower low, that's going to put in a much larger structure. Another variation with the same result is that maybe this is a larger part of an extended C wave, and that maybe that C wave isn't done yet. Most likely between those two, it's the same. I'm looking for the same outcome. I'm looking for a lower low to be put in. The other variation of what could be going on is that maybe this is just a pullback. Maybe we need to come back, build some support on a larger area of support back here. And maybe we just need another push higher to go ahead and break through that area of resistance at the moment. Very well possible. That would pretty much mean that we're done from a bottom perspective, that we put in the bottom, and that we're just slowly working our way up to much higher highs. Or maybe we're going to go ahead and take a while to go ahead and at least put in higher test previous highs as resistance. But we'll have to go ahead and just take it one level at a time. Keeping those in mind, we're going to go ahead and go down to our normal trading perspective and focus on what possibly is going on. Okay, so from here, we have an A to a B to a C. That's going to give me a larger A to a B to a C. All right, let me just clear this up. And then we're going to be focusing on this ABC within the C. And then you can also, if you really want to, draw an ABC within the C wave here. I personally did not do this. Well, I identified, but I personally did not make any trades off of this just because, to me, the way this is developing has been very choppy. I don't like how this uptrend has been developing. And based off what I've seen, usually when trends do stuff like this, I like to just back off and focus on larger pivots. But I'll go ahead and illustrate a couple things to keep an eye on out on here. As long as we're below that pivot at around 102.70, we do have a higher probability to more downside. That's playing into the larger part of the C wave. Ideally, I would like to see LTC break below the 85.17, which we came down and tested as support at the moment. But if we break down below there, I actually will be setting up an A position, and I'm going to be looking to take advantage of a possible larger move to the downside in case that is the play. All right. And let's go ahead and mark the pivots out for you guys. All right. So those are the two main pivots to keep an eye on. Like I said, for me personally, I know some people in my group have taken that 102.82 short. Just not me personally. I'm waiting for a larger confirmation once you get below 85.15 or 85.17. And at the moment, I really don't see. I mean, you could possibly, if things, if let's say we do pump from here, you would have a little bit of a hard time with this setup. But we do have a possible bullish setup that you guys could take if you want to. If you don't think that we're going to put in another low, if we're not going to continue more downside, that we're possibly going to put in a another swing to the upside. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of this. To me, it's too small of a setup compared to something I'm looking for in a much larger time frame. But just because I think that the setup's there, we don't necessarily have to go ahead and cross back below. If we just do decide to go up, that would be the pivot I would go ahead and take a trade off of. If I was looking for a long position on LTC. All right. Let's see. This is the part where I go ahead and I do two other coins. One I'll pick myself, and if you guys have any suggestions of what you want me to look at, please just let me know. You guys can unmute your mic, or if you want to leave it in chat, I'll keep an eye on that. But the coin I'm gonna pick, we're gonna do something different. Someone brought this to my attention in one of my live streams, which is Rune. I personally don't know anything about the coin. All I know is that I was asked to look at it. I looked at it from a larger perspective, and I can see that it does decently well with ABCs. I might need to find a art with more history on it. Yeah, it's a good one. So, look at the larger macro perspective for Rude. We have an A to a B to a C. Or sorry, A to B to C within this wave. We put in a lower low. Okay. So A to a B to a C. And we have an A to a B to a C here, and then we have another A to a B to a C here. I'm not going to go ahead and focus on every single pivot, but that's primarily what I'm looking for as a wave shape of how this has been developing. All right, so keeping that in mind, we are currently testing. Looks like we broke through it and came back down to retest, or are coming back down to retest this area of support here. Actually, we did. So could be this might be interesting actually. Well, I'm just looking at this in real time at the moment. Yeah. Came back down, tested as support. So long as we're above this region, things are looking good from a more macro perspective. From there, I can make an argument for one other variation. If I go to a 2 hour, is that maybe we're working on some sort of larger A, B, C to an A, and an A, B, C to a B, and working on some sort of larger C wave. If we are going to pump from here. For me, I would probably try to take this trade if I was looking to trade it. I might actually consider this. I'll have to see how this plays out. I haven't really traded this coin before. So I have to kind of experiment and see what a good stop loss and how a good trade setup, how I would go ahead and set this up for me, or at least for how I would do this. The problem with these altcoins is that sometimes they move in greater percentages. You kind of have to structure your trades a little bit differently compared to BTC or Ethereum. So for me, I'm definitely can go ahead and consider this. Try to play into the possible extension of the C wave. So that pivot for that trade is going to be at about $1.59, $1.59.1. It's gonna be hard for me to get an exact pivot on that. $1.59.05 is probably a good it's a good pivot to keep an eye on for Rune. Besides that, you catch that pump. You can also hedge up here for a short, and basically let these two play out. I'm definitely gonna look into this more. This is something I might go ahead and consider taking. If I do take this entry, I'll let you guys know in the group. If you guys aren't familiar, if you guys are new to this session today, if you guys go to David's Discord, you go up to trading strategy setups. I have my own section here. It's been kind of quiet just because I haven't been I've been taking much larger pivots and they don't come by as often. But keep an eye out on this section here. It's where I go ahead and let you guys know when I go ahead and take trades. But yeah, go ahead and definitely check that out if you guys are interested in updates from me. I'll go ahead and go back to what I was doing before. And that's pretty much going to be it. When we do put in that higher high, if we do, I'm going to go ahead and regardless of what scenario I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and take trades and look for a larger push to the upside. Let's see. All right. Which one, Polkadot or eGold? Is that eGold or my Elgin? I'm not sure which one that is. I'll go ahead and do that. Unless Vlad, you want me to do Polkadot. Let's see. Illusion, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. All right, we'll do that. Let's do spell. All right. Okay. Interesting. All right. So it looks like we have A, B to a C, to a B to a C. All right. So at the moment, as long as it's above 37.94, definitely a bullish pivot. The only thing I will say is that possibly we are working on an extension of the C wave, where we're possibly putting an A to a B to a C. If that is the case, I need that previous low to be tested. Sorry about that. Need that previous low to be tested. Oh, well, broken through and then reclaimed. From there, I'll go ahead and mark out the pivots for you guys. All right, 37.86. If we go ahead and break through that, we're most likely putting in the ABC setup where we need to break below 32.48. Let's see. Another variation of what could be happening is maybe we can get that same scenario, but maybe we put in another high before doing so. Oh, shoot. Maybe we put in another high. I'll go ahead and just make this a little bit cleaner. If that is the case, we need the pivot of the 54.16.5 region to be broken and reclaimed. So it would look something like this, because we got a clear separation in trend, and now we're working on. If I go to a 2 hour, that's going to be clear as day. Yeah, clear as day. So that's ultimately what I'm looking for if we are going to move to the upside. If not, we're going to slowly make our way back down to cross back below the previous low here. That's going to be a major pivot for me, in my opinion. There's really no long setups. Yeah, there's no long setups for me to take. Right now, I'm only looking for shorts for this coin. Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure before I. So either we bottomed or we got to put it one more low. Very important to keep an eye on. But that's pretty much it for this. We're going to move on to traditional markets. If anyone has any questions regarding any of the coins I looked at today, anything regarding setups wise, thank you, Johnny. Of course, my friend. Hope it helps. Yeah, if you guys have any questions regarding setups, how I do things before we move on, I'll keep my eye on chat. I know there's a couple of you watching on the YouTube/Twitch end. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys are coming from that end of the stream, please let me know. Like I said, also with the Discord, I'll pop in. Just get a quick drink of water. All right. So let's talk about the SPY. So at the moment, I'll go ahead and draw this fresh chart. So coming off the previous high of the previous bull market, we're going to be looking at this as an A to a B to a C to an A to a larger B to a larger C. At the moment, we put in a lower low and then reclaim that level. So as long as we're above 361.85, definitely a good area to be bullish on. There's a couple things to keep in mind, though. A couple of variations of what could be going on. One is that maybe we put it in a potential bottom, and we're looking at this. This would be from the COVID low, A to a B to a C. If that is the case, I need that high to be broken and reclaimed. All right. That's an option that's on the table. Another option that's on the table is that maybe we are putting in an A to B to a C. All right. And then that's going to be part of a larger AB structure. And that we're possibly going to go ahead and look for further downside. If that is the case, I need a previous low of about. Geez, I have so many lines here. I need that previous low at about 347.68 to be broken. From there, we can talk about putting in a larger potential bullish reversal. And that can start the new uptrend and possibly a new multi-year bull market. That I would definitely be more confident in that setup than I would be in the previous ABC written right now. But doesn't mean that just because I think that doesn't mean it can't happen. So keep that in mind. I'll go ahead and mark that bearish pivot. As you can see, we're kind of coming up to retest that region. But as long as we stay below that pivot there, things are looking pretty bearish. But we'll have to take it one level at a time. Go ahead and mark out the pivots here for these two. Well, I might have to sneeze for a second. Yep, that was definitely a sneeze. All right. Okay, so let's go to now that we're done with that. That's the main pivots, guys, for the SPY. Just keep an eye on if the SPY's looking good. Obviously, things are looking good for Bitcoin and assets in general. We're gonna go ahead and take a look. Next thing that's correlated to Bitcoin, which I know a lot of you guys who are traders are interested in, is the DXY. Now, the DXY has been forming a pretty decent setup here over the last, I would say, couple weeks or so. But before we go ahead and dive deep into the more recent perspective, what's going on, I just want to mention one important thing is that coming off the bottom here, all right, for the DXY, this is back from 2008. I don't know where you guys were in 2008, but I was still in middle school when this. What was I? Yeah, middle school when this happened. So I was learning about the Revolutionary War when this was happening. Anyway, back from this setup in 2008, we have an A to a B to an extended C. All right. And so once we establish that, once we focus on that, we have an A to a B to a C within the C. All right. Keeping that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and just focus on this area here. If the DXY gets below 103.82 and remains below that, that's going to show us a much larger potential for a larger reversal to the downside, right? Which obviously, if you look at things from an inverse correlation standpoint, when dollar goes down, assets go up, vice versa. So at this point, if the dollar does show weakness and we continue to push back below that pivot, the odds are the dollar is going to continue to fall, and then assets are going to be doing better in general. That's just an option to keep an eye on. Now, I know I talked about Bitcoin being bearish and a lot of cryptos being bearish, but I also talked about the bullish side of things. This because I think certain things could be happening from a bias, more of a personal bias standpoint. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm right, but I will give you guys the levels to trade just in case that I am wrong. So let's go to a little bit more of a zoomed out perspective. Now, how I look at this, right, the most important thing to understand is that this looks like one continuous trend to me. We had a significant break. Now we could continue to go higher. I'm not sure where exactly this B wave is going to end. To me, I don't have a significant enough break in trend to go ahead and try to potentially look for the next move. So I'm going to mark this as a B wave for now, and eventually we have to come down, put in a large C wave. All right. We put in a larger ABC here. We do have a potential to put in a much larger pullback. But just keep in mind, we're going to be pretty significantly under that bearish pivot. So I would keep in mind that we are more likely to keep falling if we do continue to break that support. But I will absolutely take that trade. Oh, no, sorry. I can't take this trade because I don't know. I don't think you can actually trade the DXY. But I'd be looking for a DXY to put in a potential much larger upswing if we do complete this ABC. All right. And that really depends where this B wave develops or how it develops. If we continue upward, fantastic. That's going to show me a very, very clear separation in trend. And then I can go ahead and look for a possible much larger reversal for the DXY. But we'll have to wait and see how this develops. I can't make any significant conclusions yet based off what I see. The only thing I can conclude is that we have a possible A to a B, and that at some point we're probably going to come down, put in a reversal set up here if we do decide to reverse at some point. We don't necessarily have to, but if we are looking for that option, I would need to see that lower low be put in. All right. Let's do. Did the SPY. ES is pretty much the same thing. Yeah, ES is the same thing as the SPY, just a little bit different. We can take a look at gold. Right, so I'll do gold, silver. All right, we'll stick with gold and silver for now. So for gold and silver, keep in mind we have a much larger bullish ABC here with the pivot being around 1676. We're currently above that, so things looking pretty bullish for at least a retest of the upside. We don't necessarily have to put in a new high, but I would like to see more development to the upside, in my opinion. An option that could be going on is that maybe we're not done with the C wave. Something I haven't really been thinking about, but something I will consider is that maybe we're putting in an A to a B to a C. Definitely possible. If that is the case, I need to see that previous low be broken, then reclaimed. All right. And then from there, definitely a good spot to buy gold if we do continue to drop. The more likely option that I'm seeing at the moment is that I think we're going to come in and put in its own ABC up here. Now, if we show signs of weakness once we break that trend, definitely a short signal. But most likely, I would say what's more probable is that we're probably going to just continue and push to new highs, breaking that new pivot up here. If that is the case, that's going to back up the idea that this is a larger A to a B to a C. That would look very good to me. And then from there, if that is the case, I need to see once we break that previous high around 2075, I need to see a reclaim of that level before we can go ahead and continue down. Right. That's just a more macro perspective and how I view gold. And that's the best. These are the most important pivots, in my opinion, to keep an eye on. But besides that, I don't see any long positions in this region. I think we're good on that one. All right, let's go ahead and check silver. All right, so for silver, we do have a possible ABC scenario going on here. All right, as you can see, I drew the ABC for the B, and then possibly looking for an ABC within the C. Now, doesn't necessarily have to happen. That's one scenario I'm looking at. Another scenario is that maybe we put in an ABC here, and that we possibly work on some sort of larger ABC within a C. Oh, sorry, within a B before extending higher. Something like that. Definitely possible as well. If that is the case, I need to see once that previous high is taken out and reclaimed, I need to see a test of around that 1753 structure, right? Once that's the case, I can go ahead and look for a buy signal, or at least look for a, I don't know, can you trade gold? You can, but I'm not sure with leverage though. But I would look for some sort of buy position, whether it's buying actual gold itself, or if you wanted to take a trade on that on some sort of exchange. I'm sure you can. I'm just not too familiar with it. But at the moment, those are pretty much the main scenarios I have for silver at the moment. Yeah. All right, let's take a look at. Is anybody else? Oh, while we're here, does anyone else have anything you want me to look at traditional market wise? As well as I'm keeping an eye on it for those who are tuning in onto the YouTube and Twitch end as well. If you guys want me to look at something traditional market wise, please feel free to chime in, ask away, or if you guys have any questions regarding setups, how I do things, I'll be more than glad to go ahead and answer those questions for you. See someone typing. See, Johnny, can you take a look at oil? Absolutely. Do you mind? Someone asked for this on the yesterday's stream. I forgot. It was like West Texas oil or something like that. Someone uses WTI. If you want me to look at a different ticker, let me know. If not, this is the one I've been told that's a good one. WTI, West Texas Intermediate Crude Oil. But just let me know if there's a better or if there's a different ticker you want me to look at instead of this one. You search CL1. Yeah, I could definitely do that one if that's your preferred. CL1 or CLI or CL1. CL1 exclamation. Crude oil futures. Okay, is this the right one? The New York Mex. I'm sure this is the right one. It's got to be. Yes. Okay, cool. All right. So from a much larger perspective, let me look at things. Let me zoom out here. Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. This is when oil went to the negatives. I remember this. All right. So without keeping that into consideration, this looks like. Okay, this is one new trend. To me, possible scenario. Let me just focus. Oh, not what I wanted. Maybe go to like a 12-hour, might be better. There we go. So let's see. That's an A, B, C to a B. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Depending on if it gives me a clear separation in trend, you can kind of see we're kind of bottoming here, putting in some sort of like rounded bottom. To me, it doesn't. I need to see a clear separation in trend for me to go ahead and establish this as some sort of ABC. But at the moment, if we do not put in a lower low, we do have a possible much larger B wave here. All right. The pivot to go ahead and keep an eye on is going to be this one. And as you can see, we've been dancing around that pivot for a very long time. So the market seems like it's not sure what it wants to do. If we do, I mean, as long as we're above this line, we have the higher probability to push for more upside. But at the moment, that's the only clear position I see. I don't see any other short setups. Maybe if I go to a 4-hour, try to focus on that. Yeah, the trends are a little bit choppy in oil, which can make things a little bit difficult. ABC, BC. The only thing I could possibly say, if you want to look for more downside, that we do have this one here that we're still currently under, but it looks like we're going to come up and test that. So for me, I'm looking at this as a new possible structure. That pivot's going to be around 82.80. But those are pretty much the main pivots for oil at the moment. Things are looking pretty bullish, but we do have a bearish possibility to reverse. And that would look like this, or this would turn into something like this. Actually, no, this would be part of the C wave. All right. If that happens, I'm going to mark out the previous low. That'll be the main pivot for me. I'm going to get rid of this line. And that's pretty much it for oil. Let me know if that was helpful. Thank you. It was very helpful. Good. I'm glad it helped. If you have any questions, for those who are in David's Discord as well, this is for future reference. If you guys are in David's Discord and not mine, I know some of you are in both channels. But if you're in David's Discord and not my channel, and let's say you have a question, please feel free to ask inside of my section. It's been a while since anyone has posted, but if you go to my section of the David's Discord, you go to threads, ABC Trading. You guys can go ahead and ask me any questions you might have. I know it's been a little while since people have asked, but I keep an eye on this channel. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys are in this server here, not mine, but let's see if I go to okay. All right. Let's see. Let me take a look at Vlad's pride and joy. Oh, Vlad, we got a break in the new high for BMW.
Woohoo.
Well, it's good. It's good if it holds. Larger perspective. We have an ABC. All right, so it looks like it's turning into a larger A, to a B, to a C. All right, we have an ABC within the B. Right now, we have a possible point of reversal. But if BMW continues to pump, we're more likely going to test the new high. So there's two scenarios. Either we come up, test the new high, put in a new high, or if we reclaim this level and show some sort of weakness, retest and continue down, that's going to be more likely for more downside, and maybe we're done here. So very crucial point for BMW at the moment. If that is the case, you can view this as a possible A to a B to a C before putting a new high, or maybe this is a much larger reversal in that we're going to put in new lows. I'm not too sure about that. Just because it's a multi-year uptrend that we've been working with. We'll have to see how this plays out. If anything, I'm going to be looking for a larger pullback before putting in new highs. I don't think it's going to be a total market reversal, but I could be wrong. But just keep an eye on that previous high. All right. If anyone, I think it's gonna do it for me. I don't believe I covered everything. If you guys want me to look at anything else while we're here, please let me know. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about how I do things, please as well, feel free to ask. Would you take a look at a stock outside of the US? Absolutely, Joy. Illusion, let me know. What's the ticker? I'll take a look at it. 6488. Global Wafers CO Ltd. Is that the ticker 6488? Oh yeah. Let me know if this is the right one. The exchange is Taipei Exchange. Okay. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one. All right. All right. From a macro perspective, it looks like we have an A to a B to a C. We are currently holding below the pivot of the A. That is not the best sign, but doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna immediately cause. I would say this doesn't immediately call. Excuse me, I can't talk today for some reason. It's not an immediate call for concern. There's a couple different ways this could play out. The C wave could end it here, or we're possibly working on another upside swing for a larger ABC. But just keep in mind, we are below that macro pivot. So the probabilities to the downside are higher at the moment, as long as we're below 661. If I dive into a little bit more of a smaller time frame, 4 hour, we do have an interesting set of waves here. A, B, C. Okay, so this turns into an A to B to a C. And then this is going to be an ABC within the C. From there, if we're above that pivot around 400, definitely going to be bullish, but we do have a possible bearish reversal sign here or signal here. All right, but how I'm seeing this playing out is that it looks like it's going to want to turn into a larger A to a B to a C. If we do get this, and you do get that break of that previous low, that definitely looks more bullish to me. And I'd be willing to play that position into a potential swing to the upside. Something like this. Maybe you get a reclaim, retest, and then push higher. I definitely would be interested in doing that. But at the moment, it looks like that's what we're doing. The other variation is that maybe this is a bottom, all right? And that ABC, which I just mentioned, turns into an A to a B scenario, and then we continue higher. Definitely could be possible as well. We come back down, test this previous AS support, put in some sort of larger inverse head and shoulders, and then go ahead and test higher. So definitely some levels to keep an eye out on. I'll go ahead and mark them out for you, just so I knew I drew a lot over the last couple minutes. The 506 pivot, if we get back below, is important, which is the previous high here from November 15th, as well as we have some lows to go ahead and maintain above that 397. If we fail, it looks like we're going to come down, put in a lower low past 327. But if it reclaims that after putting in a lower low, something like this, that's definitely going to be a lot more bullish in my opinion. So I'll keep that up for a second. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. Awesome. Thanks a lot. No problem, my friend. Hope it was helpful. All right. Does anybody else have any questions for me? I know there's a couple of you guys in the YouTube/Twitch chat. I could see you guys watching. Thank you so much for tuning in, by the way. I do appreciate it. If you guys have any questions for me, any of the setups that I went over today, if you want a second opinion on something, if you have any questions about setups, trading in general, please let me know. If not, I think it's gonna do it for me. At least, listen, like I said, unless any of you guys have any other questions here in Discord. But I think I'm all good.
Awesome presentation, Johnny. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Also, guys, don't
you,
forget that Johnny has also his private Discord group. Can you please tell us more, Johnny?
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in learning more from me, I do my own private Discord group. The primary, I guess the main, I guess the bread and butter to this is you get access to the community. So I have about 100 people in this group, close to 100 people in the group right now. But we go ahead and talk about setups. You guys get access to my setups in real time, as well as organizing events. We're going to be doing weekly AMA sessions. So if you guys are new to my Discord and you're here, or if you guys are interested in joining, go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do weekly sessions. Trying to figure out that's the best time because this is the first time I'm doing this. But the bread and butter for this, besides the community, is the actual ABC tutorial videos. There's a lot of information here. We go over ABCs. I also go over basic leverage trading tutorials in case you guys are new to leverage trading, how to set up risk, how to use proper risk management. Go over the simple method, other things, using my Apple Watch for notifications. I should probably I won't delete that. But we'll go over DCA videos as well, how I used to DCA without ABCs. And then the most important thing, in my opinion, is the actual trading psychology section. I constantly am trying to do my best to focus on this and the ABC stuff. This, in my opinion, is way more important than the actual ABC information. This is going to carry you a lot further than just learning strategies. So if you guys are interested in that, please, if you guys go ahead and check out, do I have my YouTube linked on my Discord? If not, I'll drop my YouTube in the link in the description. It's in the link in the description of the YouTube. And if you guys are in the Discord or interested, I'll go ahead and drop my channel here in a second. Set that up. But you guys can go ahead and you don't have to go ahead and subscribe to the Discord. But if you guys want to get really dive deep into this, I recommend it 100%, 110%, as well as William and David have been working with me, and I can't thank both of them enough. They offered you guys a lifetime subscription when you sign up for the lifetime of the Discord. That in itself is tremendous value for the money, in my opinion. There's other platforms charging $20-$30 a month just to use the same thing, and you guys get that for a lifetime when you sign up. So I can't thank William and David enough for allowing us to provide that for you guys. If you guys aren't interested, we use the Trigger Trade Static Bot to go ahead and automate the entries for us. So when I do give you guys my setups, or if I let you guys know when I'm taking trades, I set up the bot to do it for me, and I can pretty much do it in my sleep, or if I'm out and about, I don't have to necessarily be in my computer. Just go ahead and create an alert, and you can basically copy the code here. I go into a more detailed tutorial in my Discord, as well as I'm sure on Trigger.Trade YouTube channel. They also have a that same video is posted there as well. So if you guys are interested in learning how to do things my way, how I use Trigger Trade, and let's see, find it. There it is. I thought I gave. Where's the update? Oh, here it is. I show you guys my settings, how I do things. So if you guys are interested, please, like I said, check out my YouTube channel. If not, I'll also drop a link for where you can go ahead and sign up. If you guys are interested, where is split up here? Sorry about that. You guys heard that for a second. Let's go ahead and go to my channel. Come on. It's in the Twitch link, YouTube link. If you guys are watching from there, I'll go ahead and drop it in the Discord. Where is? But thank you guys so much. If you guys are interested in signing up, there's going to be, if you go to, crap, where the heck is the link? I had this all up before and I accidentally closed the tab. That was my mistake. Go check out that link. Yep. You go check out that link if you guys are interested in signing up, as well as I will take crypto as payment too. Go ahead and DM me if you guys are interested. But I also live stream 3 times a week where you guys can go ahead and ask me any questions as well. The Discourse is icing on the cake. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. For those who are new and for those who are returning viewers, I do appreciate the support. Thank you to William. Thank you to David. Thank you to Vlad for having me here. I always do greatly appreciate it. This community is absolutely amazing. I'm very happy to be part of it. So thank you guys so much again for allowing me to do this, and also allowing me to go ahead and give you my perspective on how I do things. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Johnny. I'll see you on the next one, everyone. Bye bye. Take care.
Yep. Bye bye, everyone.